Welcome to Stress Mess, a stressless podcast where the chaos is real, the caffeine is strong, and swearing sometimes happens, and that's okay. I'm Samantha Elizabeth, health and wellness coach, chronic overthinker, and proud BFFs to stress itself. Here we're ditching perfection, embracing unfiltered real talk, and making mindset shifts that might just keep us from screaming into the void. Let's get messy. Today, I have someone incredibly special joining me, my bright, shining star of a friend, Traci Shannon, also known as Star Traci. She's the host of The Pebble, where her mission is to toss pebbles of positivity into the sea of negativity and create ripples of hope. In this episode, we open up about Suicide Prevention Month, mental health struggles that often go unseen, and why sometimes the best way to support someone isn't with a, "you got this," but with a simple, "how can I help?" Get ready for a mix of raw honesty, heart, and real tools you can use to show up for yourself and others. Traci, welcome to Star Traci. Putting your name as that, I love that. Because obviously that's how we got to know each other. As you being Star Traci, and thank you also for letting me be on your podcasts too. I'd love for you to talk about, your podcast and everything, because I think that they're very much aligned to your own personal brand, but then also like just who you are and everything, too. And so, let me go ahead and let you introduce yourself, and let's get into, because I know that there's some heavy topics that we do want to talk about today that are very relevant for the times, but then also, that are going to probably, help some people right here and now. So,
Thank you.
Yeah,
Well, hi, everyone. My name is Traci Shannon, but I am mostly known on the internet as Star Traci. And I gave myself that moniker because I wanted to start starring in my life. I didn't really feel it when I gave it to myself, frankly.
Yeah.
I was a stay-at-home mom and military wife, and I felt really stuck. I had been an actress, and I decided I needed to start figuring out how to be a star. I hadn't starred on Broadway like I dreamed of, and I wasn't a star in Hollywood. So I needed to figure out how to star with a toddler and a kindergartner. And so I started writing a blog, and the blog rolled into, Instagram and all the other things. Eventually, I ended up on YouTube, and I started a show on YouTube, which is The Pebble. And The Pebble is about that little thing that you can do that starts ripples of good. And the idea being, if you throw a pebble of positivity into the sea of negativity, it can turn the tide. And, the concept of, when you throw the pebble into water, it goes like
it ripples out. Yeah.
Exactly. And the idea is not just that it gets bigger, but it goes out in many ways that you never know.
Yeah. And hopefully touches other people as well.
Exactly. And it's that concept that, just when you bother to slow down a little and smile at the overwrought cashier, then she might go out the door a little more relieved and drive safer or be kinder to her child or anything. You just never know how that instantaneous moment literally changes the world. We hear it called butterfly effect or other things. I really 100% believe in that.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, it kind of goes into some heavier topics, which is September is Suicide Prevention Month.
Yes.
And I have been touched more than once by suicide. And I 100%, not to repeat myself, but believe that suicide is death by mental illness. It's not a selfish act, but it is a lonely act.
Yeah.
It is losing the fight to untreated or undertreated mental illness. So when people die of cancer, no one calls them selfish or any of these other things. They died of a disease.
Yeah.
Mental illness is a disease. Just because
Mm-hmm.
it happens in your brain doesn't make it any less a disease. And you can't
Yeah.
pray it away. You can't, chant it away, read positive books away. It is multifaceted. Sometimes it can be treated with medicine. Sometimes it can
Mm-hmm.
be treated with therapy. It is multi-level. And for some people, it is incredibly resistant
Yeah.
to all of the above, and they'll be doing great. And then one day, boom, they're back. Kate Spade's an excellent example of that.
Yes.
Her family talks about that she had a really bad, spot, and then she got treatment. And for like 10 years, she did really well. And then she started failing again. And then, of course, they lost her.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a really difficult disease.
Yeah.
So it is also one, though, that for some, a matter of, according to the World Health Organization, 40 seconds, 40 seconds can make the difference.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's one that I believe we can help with. This is
Mm-hmm.
where I believe the Pebble can make a difference.
Yeah.
We are in the midst of a lot of noise,
Mm-hmm.
and we give a lot of power, unintended or not, to the
Mm-hmm.
loud people in the room.
Yeah.
And as you and I have spoken personally about it, sometimes it's just like we positive people are just like, oh, I just don't. I'm going to close myself off because I need to stay positive because it's
Yeah.
protection, right? And we're like, oh, I don't want to look at it. I'm just going to
Mm-hmm.
live my life, and I don't need to infect myself with that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I want to challenge people to at least just throw a pebble of positivity out there.
Yeah. I completely agree. I completely agree. I mean, something that, I've recently become transparent with too, because, my child was diagnosed with persistent depressive disorder, PDD. And that just basically means that the baseline of your personality is you're always depressed. It takes it takes you more effort than other people to bring your serotonin levels to a good place.
Right.
Your serotonin levels are, lower. Well, it was discovered that I also, gets it, for me that I do. I mean, and a lot of people, this is a shocker, for a lot of people because I'm normally like cheerful, and very friendly, and very pretty outgoing, in front of people. And sometimes I can get into my quiet place, but I'm normally just a fairly positive person, and so it shocks a lot of people to say that, but it's one of those things too, just like my dyslexia and ADHD. You have to learn how to conquer it, and sometimes it is like you're swimming upstream. Sometimes it is, where you feel like you're in a well, of emotions, and that it's hard to see your way out. And I know that, like, for me, one of the things that kind of drives me crazy, is that toxic positivity that people bring into it. So we're talking about positivity. Positivity is great, but it has to be channeled, in such a way. So, I know that, when I, talk about things that are happening in my life, with my friends and everything, I tend to get like texts back from them that say, you got this, girl, that sort of thing. And it's that, sort of thing. And that to me, that's not helpful, to the, you got this, girl. I mean, because yes, I know that I will eventually get it, but in that moment right there, I don't got it. I don't absolutely have it. And I really needed a different type of support, at that, either in some cases, it's just listening,
Right.
and just listening and being there. I know, like, just talking to somebody about this, when I'm sick, I just want you to tuck me into bed, you know what I mean? Bring me some snacks, but then leave me alone. That's the kind of care that I need. And some people actually need somebody to sit with them. But it's that sort of thing of just really knowing what the person needs, and knowing, too, because, persistent depressive disorder, is something that is always with you. It's kind of like you have a friend and it's your depressed friend, and they're always with you, and you're constantly trying to help them to be happy, but you don't look at your depressive friend and say, you got this, girl, that sort of thing, because that is not helpful. When a depressive friend looks up at you kind of like, no, I don't think I got this, and I need something else. And in some cases, for some people, it's medicine, that might help them. In some cases, it's truly just the medicine of sunshine and getting out for a walk in nature and touching grass and, all of those, kind of things that do help, to bring that depressive level, up and everything. And it has to be, and so many different things, work for different people too. But you're absolutely right. But then you could eventually succumb, unfortunately, to, that emotion, that you're having, and why it's so important for us to not give toxic positivity to other people and to say you got this, even though they don't feel it. And that and is a negative, thing for them. And, like, how do we, and let Emily get your opinion on this, how do we support people that are going through, things like that?
I think that is the great lesson of this next generation,
Yeah.
because I know with my parents' generation, I was literally told smile,
Yeah.
and it was well intended.
Yeah.
I think that we need to start asking instead of telling, and understanding that there is not one road.
Yeah.
And I think that we have got to stop thinking of things in binary forms. A lot
Yeah.
of the battles happening now is, don't put your kids on meds. Do put your kids on meds. All of that.
Yeah.
Why don't you do what's right for you or your child or whatever, and not tell people what's right for them?
Right.
So
Right.
in this question, I'd say, how about, how can I help you?
Yes,
What do you
exactly.
need? And if the intention is good, which is, you've got this, girl, which if it's the first time they've said that, receive
Mhm.
it with the intention, but
Sure.
say, I don't feel like I've got it. And then
Right.
they need to ask, oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
That makes me sad. And then if they continue to be like, you've got this, girl, then you know what kind of relationship it is, which is shallow.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think we need to give grace on both sides,
Sure.
because we've all seen the videos with, like, oh my God, if another person asks me how hard it is to have 5 kids, well, we all do it because it's fun. But
Yep.
receive things with the grace that things are given, because
Yeah.
we all are trained to see things in certain ways. We all
Mhm.
do it. We all say stupid stuff. It's a
Oh,
fact.
yeah. Mhm.
And
100%.
we love to be reactionary when it
Yeah.
happens to us,
Right.
when we all do it.
Mhm.
But when we are given a correction, then we need to respond corrected, is my
Yeah.
thing.
Right.
So when all of these conversations have happened about using a word or not using a word, my rule is
Mhm.
the rule I learned in kindergarten. Somebody says something hurts their feelings,
Yeah.
I don't do it. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter if I think it's not a big deal. If
Mm.
it's a big deal to me, I'd want someone to stop.
Yeah.
Kids, I used to have a birthmark on my nose. Kids call me Hickey Nose. They
Oh.
obviously didn't think it was a big deal.
Yeah.
Big deal to me.
Yeah.
When they didn't stop, it hurt my feelings. So
Mhm.
if I use a word that someone thinks is inappropriate, a slur, whatever,
Mhm.
if I didn't grow up thinking it was a slur, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. They're
Yeah.
telling me it hurts their feelings.
Right, exactly. And I think that there's that recognition, of knowing. And and the thing is I know that there's also that whole like notion of like, oh, snowflake, culture. Like that person's a snowflake, because they have feelings, that they don't like something. And I actually just saw like an advertisement for it. It's not a new show, but it's called Snowflake Mountain, and it's taking people that are part of the Gen Z, um, you know, uh,
Right.
generation, sorry, trying to think of the word there, generation, and saying that they're all snowflakes, that they're overly emotional, that they're sensitive to everything that you say and all of that kind of stuff. But I do believe, and I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. It was just like about, it's called pendulum swinging. The thing is that like we did not give enough recognition to mental health awareness, or that your words matter to other people, and like, oh, just tough it out and that sort of thing, like those kind of things. It's like, hold on one second, we need to actually figure out how to treat people like humans, because they have emotions, they have needs, they have those things. And I do think that like that whole snowflake, thing. And I'm putting quotations on it for people that can't see the video, because I don't believe, that's true. People have emotions, and it's okay, for them to have emotions and to give space, for those particular emotions. It doesn't have to be, you fall down, get up, and dust yourself off and you're
Well,
good.
it goes back to that whole, what is it? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
Yeah.
I
That's so
call
true.
BS. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Feel like the ones who really defend that
Hmm.
weren't the ones getting hit by the word sticks and stones, right?
Right.
I feel like they weren't the ones who rode the bus, as low in the seat as they could, ran
Yeah.
into the house and cried on their beds.
Yeah.
I feel like if you knew that the words were way worse,
Yep.
I mean, if you grew up into the adult and you still remember the events with these so-called words that never hurt, you
Yep.
realize why you are still talking about this. And when
Yeah.
you hear about that there are children that are committing suicide based on social media bullying, then it's
Hmm.
not about being a snowflake.
Yeah.
Not about being too sensitive. Why are we always saying it's the fault of the person who feels,
Yeah.
rather than saying, let's not use these words? I understand freedom of speech,
Hmm.
but freedom of speech, by the way, is protected against the government. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean that that like if this person goes into a job that
Hmm.
they can't lose their job over it.
Yeah.
So maybe you should tell your child that this is not appropriate language because there are consequences later
Yeah.
that way. But also, let's just raise more morally deep, kind people. And the fact that it seems okay to just say it because you can and not
Yeah.
care that it
Mhm.
makes someone else feel less than
Yeah.
doesn't seem okay to me.
Yeah.
And I know I'm going into deep waters and I know I'm
That's
making a
okay.
statement about morality here.
Mhm.
But I do feel like it shouldn't feel okay to make someone cry.
Yeah.
On this side, we should be with the crying child, not
Yeah.
the hurting child.
Mhm.
Who is throwing the metaphorical sticks and stones should not be the one that we're going to the defense of.
Yeah.
And it seems like that's what we're doing in saying,
Yeah.
well, this kid needs to man up or girl
Yeah.
up, whichever they are, and be stronger. Or
Mhm.
as opposed to, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
And again, we're coming back to children are committing suicide. It's Suicide Prevention Month. And
Mhm.
we need to think about that. it isn't okay to just say it and say, well, it's just words. I didn't
Yeah.
hit them. I
Oh,
didn't,
yeah.
you know, the reality is that you can set a bone.
Yeah.
You can, clean a cut.
Mhm.
The reality is that you will heal from physical hurts far
Mm.
sooner than you will heal from emotional hurts.
Yeah.
It's been proven true from studies of children that are abused in their homes.
Mhm.
It is the neglect and emotional abuse that tends to scar children far longer than whatever physical abuse they endured.
Yeah.
So why don't we think that just because it happens in a peer situation?
Mhm.
So we are, as adults, facing a lot of that too.
Yeah.
Any of us that are online
Mhm.
are facing that.
Yeah.
If we watch TV, whatever's happening, the political discourse, we are
Mhm.
now like unfriending. Um,
Oh, yes.
we are like, oh, cleared out my, friend list now that I know
Yeah.
how you feel or whatever. I just, I'm not going to say what is or isn't the right choice for anyone.
Right.
I just want to remind everybody before you post anything that words matter.
Yeah.
A little positivity on your feed, whether
Mhm.
you choose to make it political or not.
Yeah.
Um, and again, not suggesting a toxic positivity in one.
Yeah.
Don't have to pretend that what is happening in the world isn't,
Right.
because it is.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
just
definitely.
but just a few pebbles on there that says, hey, if you're on this list, it's because in some way or another you became my friend
Mhm.
and I'm thinking of you.
Yeah.
And if you need 40 seconds of my life,
Mhm.
or they say, in reality, 8 minutes, if you spend 8 minutes with your friend, you can save their life. Like a
Yeah.
call of 8 minutes
Yeah.
is the other statistic. WHO says 40 seconds will change their mind in the moment.
Yeah.
But if you have a friend that's debating it, an
Mhm.
8-minute phone call has been statistically proven to.
Yeah. I think that's a hard thing for a lot of people that have lost somebody to suicide is that they didn't see the signs, of that. So they didn't even know to make that call to give them that 40 seconds. And I think that's hard for a lot of people that do go through that. Or perhaps they did see the signs, but they were bringing out that toxic positivity of like, or maybe even just the counterintuitive, like if somebody's going through something, you always do the comparison, type of thing, with them to say
Oh
like,
gosh,
well,
yes, yes.
like, well, you don't think you have money. Look at this other person. This person really doesn't have any money, or, like that sort of thing. And it's just like
Such a
that kind of comparison. It
it's
diminishes their feelings.
such a good point, Samantha. Thank you. Thank you. Comparison trauma
Mm-hmm.
is like the worst thing you can do.
Yeah.
You never know what someone is feeling in their heart and their mind at that
Yeah.
time. You also don't know what is happening in their home. Also,
Yeah. Right.
never invalidate someone's pain.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's like, okay, they have a broken foot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you still have a leg.
Right.
Yes, but a broken foot hurt.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
And let's just say that that person's it's a comparison of like, okay, somebody has a desk job, so they're sitting down most of the day, and that's okay. They can still, kind of get it around and that sort of thing, like with a boot on. But let's just say somebody's working in construction. They have to be on their feet all day. They have to do that, and they have a broken foot. So that part of their livelihood is gone. So it's just, you can't always make that comparison because, and that's a physical thing, but like we can also talk about mental things too, that one person's struggle of like losing somebody is a different to one person versus another, you
Exactly.
know? Um,
It's just like saying to, somebody who just lost, their child, that, well, at least they're not in, some country where they lost all their children. You know what I'm saying?
right, exactly. They
It's
weren't
like,
part of a genocide. Where are you
right,
complaining
right.
about, or
It's
something
just,
like that? Yeah.
you cannot do that. You don't know what's happening in their mind and their heart, especially if they're having some kind of chemical thing.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. Nobody is doing it for attention.
Mm-hmm.
Get that out of your mind.
Right.
That's an old philosophy. If someone cuts themselves and they didn't do it deep, or they took pills and then they immediately, expelled them,
Mm-hmm.
it's a cry for help in some way.
Right. Right.
Take it seriously. This is
Mm-hmm.
super important.
Yeah.
Even if you think, well, they didn't really want to die,
Yeah.
they need help.
Yeah.
If it means that something is hurting them so much that they didn't know how to say it. And
Yeah.
the only thing they could do was to risk hurting themselves deeply. And it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't, okay, so they didn't want to die. Like, that's your answer. Well, they obviously didn't really want to die. A,
Yeah.
in the moment, they may legitimately, and then they had the wherewithal to stop themselves.
Yeah.
B, they're trying to tell you that you don't listen, and this is the only way they thought you would. And
Right.
if you don't listen this time,
Yeah.
the statistics on the second try are not good.
Yeah.
Don't give them the opportunity to try again, because unfortunately, people who do a failed try,
Mm-hmm.
even if they say I didn't really mean it,
Yeah.
once they cross that threshold, the
Yep.
second attempt happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's a second failed attempt, you
Yeah.
don't want that. I'm
Right.
I'm telling you, it's a bad thing if it happens, no
Mm-hmm.
matter what you think it means. Please do not play the narrative in your head that, well, I'm not taking it seriously because they didn't mean it. It was just a cry for attention.
Yeah.
People who, often people in a family get a label.
Mm-hmm.
The person who gets labeled, well, they just want attention.
Yeah.
You need to stop playing with the label and
Mm-hmm.
say, what is it that's not being answered for them, that they feel the need to be the person who needs attention?
Yeah. Right.
Because there's got to be something about them that says, nobody looks at me unless I do something to get
Yeah.
attention.
Right.
I'm not being heard. I'm not being loved. I'm not whatever. There's something there. And
Yeah.
if they're crossing the line into harming themselves to get
Mhm.
attention,
Mhm.
the family needs to take that up.
Yeah.
They really, really need to take that very, very seriously, and accept that that means that something is at a new level.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
because it means that they don't respect themselves
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
You don't cut your own body and experience physical pain.
Mhm.
You don't take pills to the point that you are expelling them
Yeah.
just to mess with people. You don't.
Right. And I know, I mean, that was a common thing that you're absolutely right that we used to think, about people that they just want it for attention. They want people to pay attention to them. Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. It is a cry for help, that when somebody's, going through that. But, that is a public cry for help. But there are people that, of course, don't have that. Like they don't have that public cry for help. They're the ones that are silent, or they're the ones that seem happy.
Yes.
And because they put a mask on.
Yes.
Um, and I know there's sometimes that I've walked through life when I'm just like, I just need to smile my way through this. Like, and I don't feel like I should. But there are people, and because there was like a reel, it probably was like a 3-minute video or something, but it was depicting two guys, at a football game. And so this is probably like, in the UK or something like that, because it was one of those like Manchester United or something like that.
Yeah.
Last show. But anyway, it was that sort of thing. And there was one that was always sitting in the seat, kind of like grumpy, and the one next to him was kind of like, oh yeah, like look at that score, and like, oh yeah, and like, you doing okay, man? And the one that's grumpy, is just sitting there and everything, and it's like game after game, the other one's up like, oh man, great score, hey man, you good, like that sort of thing. And it was just like the same thing over and over again. And then the next scene depicts that the grumpy man walks in and he's got his friend's stuff with him, and he puts it on the seat, and it's not the one that was sitting there grumpy, not really enjoying the game, but it was the one that was sitting there trying to push through whatever feelings that they were feeling underneath,
Yeah.
and they were checking in on that person, but that person wasn't checking in on them truly.
Right.
And I think that's something that we definitely need to recognize too, is that depression and ideation and, all of that kind of stuff doesn't always look like the grumpy man. It looks like the person that really is trying hard,
Yeah.
and that is unfortunately a reality of what it typically doesn't look like, because everybody's an individual. Everybody, has ways of coping with things themselves, and it might look like the grumpy person. It might look like the positive person. But checking in on people and truly asking, how are you? How can I help you? And stop bringing all of that toxic positivity, because it might be very counterintuitive to them.
Yeah. I agree. And I think sometimes people who look like they're doing okay don't
Yeah.
checked in on.
Yeah.
And people who do the work and take care of others don't get that returned.
Yeah. Right. The whole bucket filling thing, I'm pretty sure that you and I have talked about the bucket filling thing,
Yeah.
but like you have a bucket, and if you're constantly pouring out of your bucket, but nothing's coming back in, eventually you're going to be empty. Eventually you're just going to run out of that positivity. You're going to run out of, all of the things. But this was a really great discussion.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, for this. And I know this is not, but this is stress mess, man. This is life, right? Yeah.
To have these conversations, and I appreciate the opportunity to, and maybe sometime I'll come on and not be quite as heavy, but it's important to do it because,
It is.
It needs to be talked in a way that isn't so black and white, because
Yes.
it's not.
Yeah.
And so I thank you for the opportunity, and I'm always happy to talk to you. I love you, and I think it's great that you're having this podcast. So
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for being a guest on the podcast. I love you as well. You are just one of the bright people, in my life. And I just really appreciate you being here, and, just your friendship, altogether. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Mwah. All right. And have a great rest of your day. It looks sunny and wonderful there. I hope you get out and enjoy it. And I will do the same, even though you can't see it. It is sunny outside to me too.
Yay.
Thank you, Traci.
Thank you.